2, 1.
Hi, this is Miss Goodale, and today I am going to be sharing with you how to add and subtract mixed numbers. I'm only going to go over a couple of examples and do the general addition and subtraction. I will give another one with subtraction and regrouping. So here's the first example. We'll start with 1 3/4 plus 2 1/5. Now, if you recall, when I'm adding or subtracting any fractions, I need to first make sure that the denominator is the same. So my first step would be to make sure the denominator is the same. And in order to do that, I would have to find a common number between 4 and 5. So 4 and 5 have a common multiple of 20, and that's actually the least common multiple. So I'm going to leave the 1 and the 2 alone, which is the whole number, and I'm just changing the fraction. So in order to change them to have the common bottom number of 20, I have to multiply my 4 times something to get 20. And 4 times what is 20? 4 times 5. So again, if you recall from earlier discussions, whatever you do to the denominator, you also do to the numerator. So if I multiply the bottom number times 5, then I also have to do the same to the top number. That makes it be an equivalent fraction. So 4 times 5 is 20, then 3 times 5 is 15. Now I'm going to transfer that. So instead of 1 3/4, it's going to be 1 15/20. Now I'm going to look at this one. I have 1/5, and I want to make that into something over 20. So I think, well, how do I get from 5 to 20? I take 5 times 4. And remember, if I take the bottom number, the denominator, times 4, I also need to take the top number times 4. So I've already done this part. The top part times 4 is 4. Then I just put in my number or fraction for a substitution. So instead of 2 1/5, it will be 2 4/20, because we're using equivalent fractions here. Now when I add them, I just add them separately usually. So I'll add the 1 and the 2, which is 3, and then 15 and 4 is 19, and remember the denominator stays the same. So I have 3 and 19/20. Now sometimes you'll get an answer with a fraction, improper fraction. If you had something like 20 over 20, that would be an extra whole, so then that would change to just a whole number 4. If it were 21 over 20, then it would be a whole with 1 extra, so it would be 4 and 20 or 1/20. But this example, it came out to be so that the top number was even, so we don't have to worry about changing it at all. The next example I'll do is a subtraction example. So we have 3 10/12. Take away 2 1/3. Again, we have to first make sure that the bottom numbers are the same, or the denominators. We don't really worry too much about the whole numbers yet. So we have 12 and 3. And actually, in this case, our 3 goes into 12. So we don't really have to do anything with our 12 because 3 and 12 have 12 in common. So I'm going to leave my 10/12 the same. And then I'm going to take the other one and make it into something over 12. Okay, so how do I get from 3 to 12? To get from 3 to 12, I multiply my 3 times 4. And remember, as before, if I multiply my bottom number and my denominator times 4, I also have to multiply my top number, or my numerator, times 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. Now all I have to do is substitute the numbers. So my 3 and 10/12 is going to stay the same because the 12 was what they had in common. So that one didn't need to change. Then I put in my subtraction sign. 2, my whole number stays the same, and instead of 1/3, I'm going to write 4/12. Then I just subtract. I'm going to subtract my whole number first. 3 minus 2 is 1. 10 minus 4 is 6. And my bottom number, or denominator, stays the same. So it's 6/12. And then if I follow the steps to reduce, the 1 would stay the same, but 6 and 12 can be reduced if I divide 6 and 12 both by 6. I would get 1/2. Okay, and you'll have to watch some of my other videos to recall how we did that, or just ask me. Okay, so those are just a couple of examples of how you would add or subtract mixed numbers. These are just more simple. I'm not going to go over just the reducing because those are covered in another lesson, but it's kind of simple. It doesn't matter if you work on the whole number first or if you work on the fraction first, as long as at the end you kind of clean it up. So if this fraction needs to be changed, reduced, or made into a mixed number, then you would do that at the end. Any questions, please let me know again, and I would appreciate any feedback. Thank you.